There are many ways in which I'm told I'm not a normal person. One of those is that I understand that most of you, when you go on vacation, you pick a place that has something interesting, or is beautiful, or relaxing, and that tends to determine where you go when you're taking a vacation. But my wife Ilana understands that the purpose of our summer vacation is for me to find a sermon. And you can imagine how much fun I am to be with that whole time. So this summer, we went hunting for a sermon for you up north in Eureka, which is the very, very northern tip of California, around Humboldt Bay. If you have not been, I'm told that even people not looking for a Rosh Hashanah sermon can enjoy spending time there. It is notable, I think, for two things, one of which you're going to hear about. The first of which is there is an island in Eureka that they gave back to the Native American tribe that lived there. So there's a beautiful movement in California of land restoration. There's a local Indian community. They've also been given some land back in East LA, which they're then using to plant local plants and to be able to bring back their culture. We, of course, understand very much the idea that you need to have a land of your own and how precious that can be. So I always feel very Zionist when I read about things like that. But what I want to talk to you about is that there are two of the world's largest remaining redwood groves up in the Eureka area. As far as the eye can see, giant redwoods that tower above and block out the sky. And here's another piece of how unusual I am as a vacation partner. It occurred to me walking through these redwood groves that redwood trees are to trees what Jews are to people. Redwood trees are just incredibly Jewish. And I'm now going to tell you how. So, number one, redwood trees have an incredible resilience across time. They are ancient, and they are conspicuous, standing out wherever they are. There were redwood trees that were over 2,000 years old. That is to say, there were redwood trees alive today in Eureka that were alive when our ancestors were writing the Mishnah, when the temple still stood in Jerusalem. And such is human vanity that people think they can stick their names on these trees. So there's a tree called McKinley, who I will just remind you was a president of the United States, about which nobody knows nothing. As if he makes the tree significant, this 2,000-year-old beauty. But we Jews have also persevered across time, haven't we? We also have made it for thousands of years, surviving exile and persecution and dispersion, and all that time maintaining our living culture and our faith as a way to sustain ourselves and make the world a better place. 2, redwood trees are not nearly as widely spread out as they used to be. Redwood forests back in the day covered almost all of North America, and now they are restricted to these 2 groves in Northern California and some occasional plants further south. We also, us Jews, are far less dispersed than we used to be. We used to be all over the place, but did you know that 90% of the world's Jews now live in only 5 cities? 5 cities. You want to hear what those 5 cities are? Jerusalem, obviously. Tel Aviv, obviously. New York, obviously. Los Angeles. And you want to tell me what the 5th city is? Haifa. Nobody ever remembers Haifa. It's a beautiful place. 90% of the world's Jews are now focused in 5 cities in the world. 85% of the world's Jews live in just 2 countries, Israel and the United States. Like the redwood trees, our environment has shrunk. Now, there are certain advantages to that, because here comes the next way in which redwood trees are just like Jews. That is, they also derive their strength from their community and their family. As individuals, it turns out, redwood trees have very thin root systems. Big, tall trees, little tiny thin roots. And the only way they can stop from falling over is they intertwine their roots with the trees around them. So it turns out redwood trees are held up by the embrace of other redwood trees. And no surprise, most of the trees drop their seeds around them so that the trees that surround them are their parents or their uncles and aunts or their children. Redwood trees, like Jews, settle in family clusters. And we hold each other up. We nourish each other because, let's face it, as individuals, we Jews also have pretty weak roots. But when our roots grow together, when we intertwine with each other and we hold each other up, there is nothing that can knock us over. And so we Jews derive our strength from our community bonds, from our shared rituals, our mutual support, the solidarity that links us one generation to another and one community to another. When she was 16, I took my daughter Shira to Uganda to meet with the Jewish community there and to install the chief rabbi of Uganda, who is a graduate of the Ziegler School, trained right here in Los Angeles. And I told Shira that what she was going to discover there was people who looked nothing like us, people who don't like Ashkenazic food. I know that some of you are nodding with that one, right? And yet, they have Shabbat, they have Torah, they have Haftarah. Their prayers are the same prayers, and when you go there, you're with family. Jews are like redwoods. Our roots are intertwined, and we strengthen each other, and we keep each other going. Redwood trees, it won't surprise you, have a remarkable skill for adaptation and renewal. Did you know that redwood trees have evolved to survive fires? Other trees, when the fire breaks out, burn down and die. Redwood trees just get stronger. Their branches thicken, their bark thickens, they survive the fire, and the fire stimulates them to produce more cones that produce more seeds. So it turns out they've learned how to live with catastrophe. That should sound familiar to Jews too. And they have an antibody that prevents insects from eating on their trees, which is one of the reasons other trees like to live near redwood trees, because the antibodies that prevent the bugs from killing them protect their neighbors too. I'm told that we are good neighbors sometimes also. And they grow, emerging new roots from the tree, and those new sprouts are genetically identified with the parent tree, identical, and yet produce a new generation. They have a towering presence that is way out of proportion to their humble roots, And I think about how Jewish that is. We are 0.03% of the human population. And yet we brag nuclear physicists and scientists and attorneys and entrepreneurs and writers and artists and talents way beyond our proportion. Look at how much time the United Nations spends on our tiny little country, as if there's nobody else in the world, as if there are hundreds of millions of us, and they got to talk about us all the time. We, like Redwoods, get a lot of attention, but our attention comes from the source of our strength, which is we have taken our Torah with us everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, the first thing we do is establish schools and synagogues and places to study and places to pray. We establish cemeteries so that we can bury our loved ones. We establish the panoply of Jewish institutions that allow us to be at home anywhere that didn't used to be home. We're sitting in such an institution right now. Don't you feel at home, even though you're on the west coast of the United States? But we do that because we know that we can hold on to each other so long as we hold on to our wisdom. And that's the last way that I want to talk about how redwood trees are like Jews. Redwood trees have a legacy that lasts beyond their death. When a redwood tree falls to the ground, its remains become the fertilizer and the food for the next generations. Nothing dies in a forest. It's just recycled and reused. And you have all lived long enough to know that the Jews who have come before us, they haven't really died either. They are right here. They are in you and in me. They are in our spirit. They sit with us invisibly whenever we come to the synagogue. I don't know about you, but each time at these holidays, I look at particular chairs and I remember the people who used to sit in them, the people who used to lead duets, the people who would do readings or would greet us or always had a joke or a hug. This room is packed full of Jews who are strengthening us even now in our memory, just like a redwood. So I have some closing words. I was inspired, I think, to write a poem, so just don't groan too much at the end. I stroll the remnants of the ancient forest. Redwoods reach past their own sheltered shade, ancient pillars that catch the sun, creating home and haven for the forest folk and for those who merely visit. Their glory is not in their imposing height or even their hoary age, but in the buried weaving of shared roots below, each towering tree nestled and supported by its children, siblings, parents, and neighbors, the network of roots sustaining a grove. So too, my ancient wandering people, our resilience is found not in the solitary soul, but in the communion of us all, living and dead, local and dispersed. Our souls entwined together behind the veil of vision, bound in the bonds of life, holding one another to endure and to triumph. The redwood survives centuries, scarred yet standing, its rings a record of every drought and flood. So too my people Israel, enduring the scars and wounds of exile and return, each generation another ring of Torah, another circle of our sacred song. When one ancient trunk falls to the forest floor, supple shoots spring from the decaying stump, life insisting on life, stronger still than death. So too my people, from ashes, new communities, from silence, new melodies. From wandering, new homes. From memories, renewed vitality. With the Redwoods, we witness stand tall, lean on each other, survive and thrive. And our Jewish hearts respond, we remember, we renew, we return, and we begin again. Shana Tova.